Hello. In the first presentation, I discussed European Union as an alternative center of power. Today, I'll talk about ASEAN, that is Association of Southeast Asian Nations. ASEAN is an international organization established by the government of Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand in 1967. Many other nations joined ASEAN later, like Brunei joined in 1984, followed by Vietnam in 1995, Laos and Myanmar in 1997, and Cambodia in 1999. ASEAN was established to accelerate social progress and cultural development and to promote peace and security in Southeast Asia. The ASEAN has its own emblem which represents a stable, peaceful, united, and dynamic ASEAN. Let's discuss the ASEAN logo. The stalks of paddy in the center of the emblem represent the dream of ASEAN's founding fathers. They desired an ASEAN comprising all the countries in Southeast Asia bound together in friendship and solidarity. The circle represents unity of ASEAN. Now, let's discuss how ASEAN came into existence. ASEAN was formed in the middle of the Vietnam War in 1967, uniting Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand against the potential threat of communist led violent uprising. The original purpose was to calm tensions in the region and to contain the spread of communism in the region. Before and during the World War II, the Southeast area suffered economic and political consequences of colonization. It confronted problems of nation building, poverty, economic backwardness, and pressure to join one bloc. Baden Conference was the first large scale Asian African conference of most of the newly independent states held in Indonesia from 18 to 24 April 1955. The conference aimed to promote Afro Asian economic and cultural cooperation and to oppose colonialism or neocolonialism by any nation. Conference eventually led to the creation of non-aligned movement. However, Baden Conference and NAM failed to establish a forum for informal cooperation and interaction among the third world countries, that is, Afro-Asian nations who got independence after the Second World War. All these developments, which I just discussed, led to the establishment of ASEAN. Let's discuss the objectives of ASEAN. First, to accelerate the economic growth, social progress, and cultural development in the region in order to strengthen the foundation for a prosperous and peaceful community of Southeast Asian nations. Second, to promote peace and stability, and this is done through continuing respect for justice and the rule of law among countries of the region, which means all nations get what they deserve and are treated equally before the law. ASEAN believes in following the principles of United Nations Charter. Third, promote active collaboration and mutual assistance. ASEAN aims to cooperate on matters of common interest in economy, social, cultural, technical, scientific, and administrative fields. Fourth, to provide opportunities to resolve differences peacefully. Moving on, now let's get familiarized with the term ASEAN Way. ASEAN Way refers to a form of interaction that is informal, non confrontational, and cooperative. ASEAN is an informal organization as it uses easygoing and personal approach to prevent conflict. It is non confrontational as it uses diplomacy to resolve conflict. It upholds the norms of sensitivity and politeness. It is cooperative as all ASEAN decisions are made unanimously, that is, by the agreement of all the members. Basically, ASEAN Way refers to an approach or method to solve issues while respecting the cultural norms of Southeast Asia. In their relations with one another, the ASEAN member states have adopted certain fundamental principles as contained in the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation in Southeast Asia of 1976. The fundamental principles adopted by them are: first, mutual respect for the independence, sovereignty, equality, territorial integrity, and national identity of all nations. Second, the right of every state to lead its national existence free from external interference, subversion, or coercion. Subversion means to undermine or attempt to overthrow a government or political system. And coercion means to convince someone to do something using force or unethical means. Hence, it means that no member state would try to topple other member states' government or force them to do something they are unwilling to do. Third, non interference in the internal affairs of one another. Fourth, settlement of differences of disputes by peaceful manner. In ASEAN, bilateral issues, whether related to border issues or the movement of people, are managed bilaterally. ASEAN insists on consensus and ensures that any action of this organization does not threaten the interest of any member state. Fifth, ASEAN rejects the use of force. There has not been a single case of one ASEAN country using troops to support an organization fighting the government of another ASEAN country. Sixth, effective cooperation among themselves. To conclude, we can say that by adopting ASEAN Way, the organization aims to achieve its objectives. I'll continue discussing ASEAN in the next presentation. Kindly watch it too for the complete understanding of the topic.